So after I built the fretless plywood P-base, I got to thinking about what I should do next. I said to myself, self, because that's how I address me, what if I made a fretless Telecaster with all the same styling cues as the P-base? I still have some bloodwood laying around, I still have some maple veneer and bamboo skewers for location markers, but I used all the plywood on the base. Then it occurred to me that when the plywood was delivered, a regular old pine wood shipping pallet came along for the ride, and while they might have different mothers, I can be a loving father to both of them. So it was decided, I'll make a half sibling to the plywood P-base, a pallet wood Telecaster, also fretless, the same but different. Any good? Hang out with me for about 7.5 minutes and we'll find out together. If you've watched me build guitars out of trash before, you know that the first few steps always involve creating body and neck blanks. Here I'm gluing up the neck blank. First I glued up 4 boards, each 3 pallet boards thick. I just clamped them all up together to save on clamps. After letting those set for a day, I pull the clamps and lay out the boards the way I think it will look the best. Normally I would joint the edges that will be glued up so that you can't easily see where one board ends and the next begins. In this case, however, I want to accentuate the fact that it's a composite of multiple slats. So instead of using wood glue, I'm using a black epoxy to glue up this body blank. I want it to be super obvious that this guitar was made out of a pallet. The material is the aesthetic. The fact that I intentionally omitted the jointing step will allow the epoxy to fill the gaps and give me the exact look I seek. I pulled the clamps while the epoxy was still soft enough to scrape off the excess. While I'm in clamp pulling mode, I do the neck blank as well, so I can see what I'm working with. You'll often hear woodworkers say that you can never have enough clamps, but in considering my clamp to space ratio, I think I can safely claim that I have enough. Please don't tell the YouTube Woodworkers Guild that I said that. I don't need that kind of heat. Speaking of heat, I know some of y'all are gonna climb inside of me about the fact that I'm not wearing a mask while sanding. You can't tell by looking, but my shop is largely an outdoors situation. I have wide openings on both ends, and on windy days, my air is cycled very quickly. So whenever possible, I'll just use my shop vac and cyclone setup to keep me from having to wear a mask when it's 115 degrees in Texas. I could say shut up a little bit about it, but I honestly like it when you leave me comments, even when I think you're wrong. Hell, especially when I think you're wrong. So go ahead, tell me all your thoughts and feelings. The more unhinged, the better. Everyone knows the best part of most videos is the comment section anyway. I don't like making a neck out of soft wood like pine. The truss rod's going to be doing some work here, I think. But I'm also using a particularly thick bloodwood fingerboard, and I think it's going to add a lot of stiffness to the structure as well. If it fails, hopefully it does so in a wildly entertaining fashion. Spoiler alert, it doesn't fail. It always feels like the momentum is in my favor when I pull the clamps from my final glue up. The glue is the only thing that makes me wait to keep moving forward. If it seems like things happen in a weird order, it's usually because I'm managing the project around those waiting periods. I try to have a new video up about every 3 weeks when possible, and that involves a lot of complicated task juggling. That's generally a full build in 2 weeks, and hopefully a video fully edited with voiceover and a playthrough in the 3rd week. It's a crazy amount of time and effort, and I haven't yet reached the point where it feels like it's worth it all the time. So every one of these builds is an absolute labor of love. It's certainly not for the money, LOL. But if you enjoy watching me do this type of thing, you'd really help me out a lot if you'd like, subscribe, comment, and share these videos to help me grow my channel. It's 100% free for you, and it makes a huge difference in terms of signaling to the algorithm that my content is worth pushing to a wider audience. Thanks so much in advance. Just like on the P-base, I use maple veneer and bamboo skewers to help me avoid getting lost on the fingerboard. I thought about using a 0 fret on this build so I could tell everyone I made the world's first 1 fret guitar, but then I decided I was already doing enough crazy on this instrument. I used some pallet wood offcuts to set up a template for my neck pocket. Then I drilled out as much as I could with a Forstner bit. The more material I can remove here, the less I have to do with my palm router. To avoid my neck having a sloppy fit in the pocket, I'm making it slightly undersized. I'll use chisels and sanding implements to sneak up on a nice friction fit. Nothing worse than a sloppy pocket. Am I right? I feel right. And as I put a 12-inch radius on this fingerboard, I'm gonna wonder if there's already a punk band named Sloppy Pocket. And if not, hands off. I thought of it first. But if so, well played, Sloppy Pocket. Well played. I feel like I just said sloppy pocket a lot. Sloppy pocket. Okay, I'm done. The final step in making this a proper guitar neck is thicknessing the headstock. I still just perform this operation flying by the seat of my pants. I'm a loose cannon. I put a 1/4 inch round over on the body to knock off the hard corners and sand it smooth. Because it's a soft wood, I'm wiping on my oil-based polyurethane before going any further, just to prevent unnecessary damage to the wood while I do the remainder of the tooling. It won't make it bulletproof, but it will make it less likely to take on tons of dings and dents. In a weird way, these types of instruments are already relic'd on the day they're finished, just due to the nature of the material. I'm only doing a volume knob with a single bridge position pickup, so I bought a control plate for a 51 P-bass and used the tone knob hole for the output jack. I use painter's tape so I can mark on the body without ruining the finish, and it allows me to slide parts around on it. I shape a nut out of a bone blank so I can use it to finalize my alignment with the bridge and pickup holes. Once it's installed, I use my radius sanding block to grind it down to approximately the right height. I install my tuners so I have anchor points for my E-strings during alignment. By E-strings, I of course mean dental floss at this stage. Once I have everything lined up perfectly, I can mark where my pickup and control routes will be. Once the cavities are all cleaned up, I can go inside where the air conditioning happens and solder up all of my connections. I cut out and apply my amazing water slide headstock logo. And then I string her up and do my first ever setup on a fretless guitar. I hope you had as much fun watching this as I had making it. Thanks so much for watching.